That's true, but still, I can understand.
Good morning. We'll call the meeting to order. Those that would like to stand and join us with the Lord's Prayer and Pledge of Allegiance, please do. This is legislative session 2017-15 for June 12th, 2017. Good morning, Mr. Taylor. How are you?
Good morning. We have for public hearing and adoption amended legislative bill number 2017-05 amendment number 1, which is, and I quote from the heading, an act to amend the operating budget for fiscal year 2018 prior to commencement thereof, as it was adopted by the amended annual budget and appropriation bill, paren, legislative bill number 2017-05, close paren, comma, by revising exhibit, in quotes, A, in order to, paren 1, close paren, adjust property tax revenue to reflect a difference between the mathematical rounding used in calculation of such revenue and the revenue as calculated by use of the tax rate established by Resolution No. 78-2017, comma, and paren 2, close paren, to adjust the general fund to reflect an accounting difference in respect of certain expense reductions that were made by council in the adopted budget.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. At this time, we open the floor for a public hearing on legislative bill 2017-05. If you have any comments you'd like to make, come to the podium, please. State your name and your concerns. Seeing none, that concludes the public hearing. Entertain a motion from council to adopt legislative bill 2017-05.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion?
I have a comment that I'd like to make.
Certainly.
I missed a council meeting when the budget passed on June 6. I've been sick and receiving treatment out of town. I have some concerns about this budget will become final when the amendments passes today. I'm disappointed with the budget process this year. This is the most confrontational budget since I've been on council. The unwillingness of the council to work with the executive office is an embarrassment. The council executive offered several times to meet with the council to discuss the proposed cuts. The budget cuts were passed without any input from the department heads or the executive office and without any thought of the consequences of the cuts. For 8 years, the economy has been weak and the infrastructure in Wicomico County has suffered. This year has shown the greatest growth in a long time, and the council had an opportunity and a responsibility to shore up the infrastructure. Instead of supporting projects that impact the economy, like fire service at the airport, which is mandated by the federal government, this budget includes a 1-cent tax cut, which costs this county almost $600,000 in lost revenue, but will reduce the property taxes only $10 per $100,000 of value for each homeowner. I have spoken with a number of voters and citizens of Wicomico County who would rather see the $600,000 applied to improving our infrastructure. It is an unknown if the state will penalize the county with the cut in the disparity grant because of the cut in taxes to this year's budget. The budget presented to this year has no flexibility and no room for adjustments. If the economy does not improve, the council will have to increase taxes to meet basic operating costs next year. We believe in the Rotary four-way test, which say, is it the truth? Is it fair? Does it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all mankind? And this does not pass that test. This tax cut is a posturing move for the election next year, and it serves no one well. Thank you.
Any other comments?
may not be a surprise, I'll disagree with my friend to the left here. The budget still contains about $8 million in increased spending over last year. And this budget amendment does, I think, reflect work between the executive branch and the legislative branch. And the adjustments that will be made by this amendment will reflect some of that discussion that was had with the legislative branch. I understand that some minor cuts were made to the spending increase, and I understand that there are objections to it. I think this does preserve flexibility for the executive branch to meet these basic needs that you discussed and that we all do care about. It's hard to see, with a budget that is 140, I guess the adjusted number here is $142,980,998, reducing the increase in spending by roughly, $600,000 does not impair the ability of the county to operate. So I think that the taxpayers deserve a tax cut, and I do respect your opinion, but I'll respectfully disagree with you. So, Mr. President, should we summarize the adjustments?
We will. I mean, you mean as far as an amendment?
Yeah.
We will. I want to make a comment, Councilman Hall. I think this process was very effective. I, too, am concerned with the fact that it became so contentious, because that I don't think benefits Wicomico County whatsoever. But I would not go so far as to suggest that the council didn't do its part. The council operated, every work session was an open work session. The final work session we had, when we made the cuts, the executive branch was notified that we were having the work session. They didn't attend that work session, but that doesn't mean that the council did not ask them to attend, because we did, and it was also posted on the website. So there was plenty of room, I think, for cooperation. Now, where the council then did not want to meet was after we passed it, because some of the recommendations that were being required were, in my opinion, asking the council to then add to a budget we had already approved. We couldn't do that. We're not, as you know, by charter, we're not allowed to do that. So that was the reason for a reluctance to meet again, because, from my opinion, it was done. Everything we had done was completed. We'd followed a very lengthy procedure. We had shared it with the finance department. So I think we went, step in step, every single part of it as best we could. In addition, I know that you and I spoke before we made the initial cuts, and you had confirmed to me that you were okay with what we were doing, specifically, because I asked you specifically about some of the cuts that we were making and how we were accounting for that. And when you and I last spoke, you were on board with that. So I'm not quite sure where there's that disconnect. But again, I don't like how it played out. I didn't think it would be this difficult to cut taxes. I always thought it was a little harder to increase taxes. But that's, it's been a bit of a battle. But, hopefully we'll be bringing that to conclusion today.
Well, since you requested a response, the cuts that were requested, I did vocalize my expression that I was not happy with the cuts. But I think one of the major things is that when we were going through the budget process, when we had made these suggested cuts, we did not invite the department heads or the executive to the table to discuss the cuts that we were proposing. So the cuts were not necessarily justified by the department heads or the executive, number one. And number two is that, as you said, it is an open work session, but I remember one of the Board of Education members appearing before us one time and said, "We have been summoned by the county council." Now, we have that opportunity during the budget process to summon people to come and appear and to make appeals on their budgets. But we didn't do that, and we should have.
Any other comments? Councilman Kilmer?
All right. To summarize the changes in amendment number one.
I'm going to make it in the form of an amendment for a second.
All right. This is suggesting this amendment.
Speak into the mic.
Okay. To adjust the real property tax revenue based on the tax rate of 4 decimal places. So that would be calculated to $54,678,392. to change the net property tax revenue to $62,876,492 as a result of the change to the real property tax revenue, to change the total general fund revenue to $142,998,998,000 as a result of the change to the real property tax revenue, and then to reduce operating expenses in Fund 46, which is the transfer to other funds and contingency, in the amount of $47,386. The new fund for total 46, the new total for Fund 46 is $6,070,877. On the general fund totals page, it would be increase the council changes total to $686,534, to decrease the adopted 2018 budget total to $142,980,998, to remove the solid waste enterprise fund totals at the bottom of the page, and to adjust the fiscal year 18 budget adjustment line to show council changes as $686,534, and the adopted 2008 budget total to $142,980,998. And, I think these were in response to some concerns that the executive branch expressed to us, and I believe that these will bring the budget into what we all agree is balance, and we can go forward with a budget which doesn't please everyone, but I think is a good budget for Wicomico County going forward. So that's my motion.
There's a motion to amend. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Question that I have, Mrs. Hurley, will this amendment be printed as an addendum to the budget, or will the changes that Councilman Kilmer recommended, will that just be implemented into the budget itself?
We've actually attached the revised operating budget to this amendment number 1, but both of them will be published on the county's website.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion from council members? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Chair votes aye. The amendment does pass. This time, any discussion on the legislative bill as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor of the legislative bill, let me read it, 2017-05 as amended, we'll begin with Councilman Davis.
Aye.
Councilman Joe Holloway.
Aye.
Councilman John Hall.
Nay.
Councilman Mark Kilmer.
Aye.
Councilman Vice President Larry Dodd.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Legislative bill number 2017-05 as amended passes. Any other business? Seeing none, at this time we open the floor for public comments. If you have any comments you'd like to make, please come to the podium, state your name and your concern. Seeing none, that concludes public comments. Council comments. Seeing none, at this time I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.